Amanda loves you too. Okay, I did what you asked now. Please, let me go.
Children's programming promises safety. Cartoons teaching numbers and manners through pastel worlds where animated hosts guide young minds with patience and care. The television becomes more than entertainment. It's a trusted voice that reaches children when parents can't. A friendly presence that makes kids feel understood. But what happens when corporations recognize that trust as a vulnerability to exploit rather than a responsibility to honor? When executives see captive audiences instead of developing minds? The protective screen transforms into something predatory, danger disguised behind the same bright colors and cheerful songs that parents have learned to recognize as harmless. Amanda the Adventurer examines this corruption by showing how businesses hollow out genuine creative work and refill it with something poisonous. Across 3 games, you investigate this world through puzzles that require both interaction with your environment and close study of the tapes themselves. You pause at precise moments, type specific responses, and see how what appears on screen bleeds into the room around you. The cheerful music during Amanda's adventures parallels the Pied Piper's flute from the German folktale. In that story, a mysterious musician lures away the town's rats with enchanting melodies, then lures away the children as revenge when the townspeople refuse to pay him for his services. Both the Piper's tune and Amanda's show create an atmosphere of safety that makes obedience feel natural rather than dangerous, and both serve entities that have no interest in the well-being of children, beyond how those children can be used. The company behind Amanda even names itself Hameln Entertainment after the German town from the folktale, adopting "Follow Us to Fun" as their slogan, the same call that led children away from their homes and into legend, never to return. Welcome back, my name is Wick, and today we're going to take a deep dive into how Amanda the Adventurer explores media corruption.
Whatever you do,
we can use a sharp knife.
You step into the role of Riley Park, whose life has just been interrupted by news of Aunt Kate's death. Kate leaves behind her house in Kensdale, Ohio, and a letter explaining that she's almost out of time, that she's leaving you her home, and that there's a VHS tape in the attic you need to watch, but once you watch it, there's no turning back. The warning is deliberate and chilling. Kate frames media consumption not as passive entertainment, but as an irreversible transformation, something that will change you permanently once you engage with it. She doesn't promise answers or closure. She's giving you instructions for handling something volatile, yet she still asks you to press play. Kate had been investigating Amanda the Adventurer for years after parents raised concerns about the messaging, and after the whole town noticed something had gone terribly wrong with a program that was once beloved. She understands the danger waiting in that attic, but you're the only person left who might be able to complete her work. When you climb into the attic, the space feels frozen in time. There's a television set connected to a VCR, a bulletin board covered in notes and newspaper clippings, and scattered throughout the room are toys branded with a logo you don't recognize, a small rat symbol with the words, "Follow Us to Fun." The logo belongs to Hameln Entertainment, the company that purchased the show. The rodent symbolism isn't subtle. It's the company branding their entire operation with imagery from a story about mass abduction. But the connection goes deeper than corporate branding. Amanda's hair in the animated show is styled into 2 distinctive puffs that resemble mouse ears. Hameln transformed Rebecca's appearance to visually align her with their logo, making the cartoon character literally embody the rodent that represents their predatory business model. Amanda herself becomes the bait, the enchanting figure children follow into danger. The Piper's melody given colorful animation and a friendly voice. The mouse imagery pervades the show's structure. You will kill a mouse for a recipe later in the game, reducing the symbol of Hameln's deception to literal ingredients to be consumed. The original game files referenced 3 blind mice as a potential title, reinforcing that rodents aren't just aesthetic choices, but thematic warnings about blindness and being led to slaughter. Every time Amanda's mouse ear hair bounces on screen, every time you see Hameln's rat logo on toys scattered throughout Kate's attic, you're being reminded that this is a trap disguised as entertainment. And just like in the folktale, the children who follow the enchanting performance don't come home. You slide a tape titled In the Kitchen into the VCR and watch the screen flicker to life with that distinct early 2000s CGI quality, with colors slightly too blown out, textures smooth in ways that feel artificial, making the whole production exist in a space where technology tried to be inviting but achieved something closer to unsettling. Amanda appears with her companion Wooly, an anthropomorphic sheep whose nervousness registers even before anything goes wrong, and she explains with practiced cheerfulness that today's activity involves making apple pie. The opening moments play just like educational programming should, with upbeat music, bright visuals, and Amanda projecting that artificial enthusiasm that defines children's television hosts. Then comes the interaction. Amanda wants to know your favorite kind of pie, and a text prompt appears allowing you to type whatever answer you choose. She acknowledges your response as delicious, regardless of what you enter, and while this initially registers as a charming feature that personalizes the experience, it simultaneously reveals something fundamentally different about these tapes. Amanda isn't performing for a passive audience the way Dora the Explorer or Blue's Clues would. She's establishing direct communication, demonstrating awareness of your presence on the other side of the screen. When she asks what tool should be used for cutting apples and you type a knife, she's suddenly gripping one in an uncomfortably tight close-up that lingers longer than necessary. Wooly shifts with visible anxiety. He suggests they shouldn't handle knives without supervision, but Amanda dismisses his concern while pointing the blade in his direction, explaining that being brave means doing things by yourself.
Good job! We can use a sharp knife.
I don't think we're supposed to do that by ourselves.
It's always good to be brave when you're by yourself. Look, I'm a pirate. Ha ha!
That doesn't seem safe.
Okay, Willie, let's cut the apple. That was hard.
The message lands with disturbing clarity. Ignore adult guidance, reject help when offered, conflate recklessness with courage. Parents monitoring what their children watch would immediately recognize this as problematic messaging, except most parents wouldn't be watching closely enough to catch it. The training mechanism becomes explicit when you provide wrong answers repeatedly. Other options vanish from the interface, leaving only what Amanda wants to hear. The pretense of meaningful interaction dissolves. She's not soliciting your preferences out of curiosity, but rather conditioning you toward compliance, teaching you that participation means doing exactly what the show demands without deviation or resistance. You're not engaging with entertainment so much as being shaped by it, processed through a system that rewards obedience and eliminates alternatives. Amanda and Wooly wave goodbye as the episode concludes, but the discomfort lingers because you recognize what you've just witnessed. Shows structured like this exist throughout children's media. The difference is that Amanda the Adventurer has stripped away the plausible deniability those programs rely on. You're seeing what interactive educational content looks like when it stops pretending not to have ulterior motives, when the friendly host acknowledges her agenda, and when participation becomes indistinguishable from coercion. And you're only on the first tape. The tapes you're watching in Kate's attic aren't just corrupted children's programming. They're the weaponized remains of something that started with love. Before we can understand what Hameln Entertainment did to Amanda the Adventurer, we need to understand what the show was before they destroyed it. Rebecca Colton entered the adoption system during her early childhood in the late 1990s. Sam Colton, a television producer who had relocated to Kensdale, Ohio seeking a fresh start, would later adopt her. He said Rebecca had gone through a lot, language that implies the kind of trauma most people struggle to articulate directly. What made Rebecca remarkable wasn't that she survived the hardships. It's that she emerged from it with what Sam called a joyous view of the world. She wanted to explore, to learn, to see the world as full of possibilities rather than threats. Meeting her transformed Sam's understanding of resilience. Here was a child who could have been broken, but who instead chose optimism. That optimistic spirit became the foundation for Amanda the Adventurer. In 1999, Sam created a live-action public access series with Rebecca as the star. The production was modest in every sense, simple sets, basic equipment, and the kind of local programming that looks homemade because it is. But what the show lacked in polish, it made up for in authenticity. Every episode was Sam giving Rebecca permission to be curious, brave, and excited about learning, permission to embrace the parts of herself that survived intact despite her early suffering. Their town embraced Amanda the Adventurer immediately. The show's success had nothing to do with flashy animation or elaborate storylines. Parents recognized content made by someone who cared about what children needed rather than what could be sold to them. Sam wasn't building a merchandising empire. He was showing kids that the world could be safe and interesting, that adults could be trustworthy, that exploration could lead to discovery rather than punishment. Kate championed the show from the beginning. She promoted Amanda the Adventurer during story times at the local public library, with Sam occasionally joining to read to the gathered children. The library became a meeting place for fans, kids who wanted to meet the real Amanda, parents grateful to find programming that treated their children with respect rather than viewing them as targets for manipulation. This history matters because it reveals what Hameln Entertainment actually destroyed. They didn't just corrupt a children's show. They took a father's attempt to heal his adopted daughter through creative collaboration and transformed it into the exact opposite. The show that was supposed to demonstrate that adults could be trustworthy became proof that corporations would exploit any vulnerability, especially the vulnerability of children who had already suffered enough. In March 2000, Sam sat down for an interview on a talk show called Coffee Break, where host Sadie asked him about the surprising popularity of Amanda the Adventurer. Sam was excited when he revealed that people have approached him about turning the show into a cartoon and promoting it nationally. He talks about how amazing it would be to share Amanda with a wider audience, to help more children, to turn his small, local project into something that could reach kids across the country. Sam doesn't know that he's describing the moment right before everything collapses, that the people who approached him aren't interested in helping children at all. Later in 2000, Hameln Entertainment purchased the rights to the show, planning to make it 3D animated. Sam signs the contract because he trusts that bigger companies have more resources, better distribution, and the ability to do what he can't do alone. He thinks he's expanding his dream when he's actually selling it to people who will gut it for parts. Sometime in 2001, Sam and Rebecca traveled to the Hameln Entertainment facility for what was supposed to be a routine recording session with the Hameln director. But grainy surveillance video captured this event, recorded by someone who infiltrated the facility and understood that what Hameln was doing needed to be documented. You watch through a door marked with a glowing sign that reads, "Recording quiet please," and you can hear the session happening inside. Rebecca's voice comes through clearly as she reads from the script they've given her. The phrases sound innocent enough, almost like a children's tongue twister or vocal warm-up exercise. But Sam interrupts, his voice tight with confusion and growing alarm. What is she reading? He wants to know what's in the script, why his daughter is repeating nonsense words over and over. The director's response is smooth and practiced, just a few simple words, he explains. A script specifically tuned to train the technology's dynamic voice reaction. The excuse sounds technical enough to be plausible, vague enough to deflect further questions. The director is counting on that trust, on Sam's willingness to believe that corporations know what they're doing when it comes to emerging technology. But then Rebecca says something that changes everything. She mentions hearing a man in the headphones, someone telling her to do something she refuses to do. Sam immediately believes she's upset and wants the session to stop. Something is wrong here. His daughter is distressed, hearing voices, being told to do things she doesn't want to do, and the director is dismissing all of it as normal, as part of the process. What Sam doesn't know, what Rebecca doesn't know, is that the phrases she's been repeating aren't vocal exercises at all. The words are phonetic pronunciations of three demons from the Ars Goetia: Baal, the first of the infernal powers; Paimon, the ninth pillar and spirit of arts, music, and punishment; and Balaam, the Hebrew devil of avarice and greed.
Baal, 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 Paimon, 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 Balaam. Balaam.
What is this? What is she reading? Just a few simple words. This script is specifically tuned to train the technology's dynamic voice reaction. The what? I want this to stop. Sam, why don't you take a walk for a few minutes? We've only got a few more of these.
No, I don't want to do that.
Rebecca, what's wrong? Who are you talking to?
The man in the headphones.
There's no man. She's upset. This is going too far. Let's just take 5. Rebecca, come on out, and we'll...
Together, these entities represent exactly what Hameln did to Amanda the Adventurer. Paimon corrupted the art Sam created and punished Rebecca for her father's resistance, while Balaam embodied Hameln's greed in transforming a father's love into a product that could harvest children, all under the power of Baal, who governs deception and makes the invisible visible. Later in 2001, Hameln abducted Sam, an action he had unknowingly agreed to through fine print in the contract he signed. The same contract that promised to take Amanda the Adventurer national, to give Rebecca opportunities she'd never have otherwise, contained clauses that gave Hameln control over far more than just television rights. 3 weeks after Sam was declared missing, Hameln Entertainment released a carefully worded public statement. In the statement, Hameln positions itself as the victim and protector simultaneously. Sam abandoned them and his daughter. Every sentence is designed to redirect blame away from Hameln and onto Sam, to paint a picture of an irresponsible father who walked away from his responsibilities, leaving a corporation to clean up his mess. Hameln gained custody of Rebecca and canceled her upcoming public appearances, not because they were hiding what they'd done to her, but because she needed time out of the spotlight. The excuse sounds reasonable, even compassionate. The cancellation of Wooly's read-a-thon at Kate's library would have been the first sign that something was seriously wrong. Sam would never have voluntarily pulled Rebecca from an event at the library where his show had been nurtured from the beginning. Kate knew Sam. She knew Rebecca. At Hameln's facility, a representative approached Sam and instructed him to record a reassuring message for Rebecca. They wanted him to tell her everything was fine, that she could trust the people at Hameln, that they would take care of her now. Sam initially complied with part of the request, but he refused to tell Rebecca she could trust Hameln. Even imprisoned, even coerced, he wouldn't lie to his daughter about the people who had taken everything from them. They would edit his words, splice together whatever they needed to make Rebecca compliant. Meanwhile, the show continued production without Sam. New episodes began containing content that alarmed parents. Amanda telling viewers that mommies and daddies aren't always right, encouraging children to defy parental authority and make decisions without adult guidance. One father interviewed by local news expressed confusion about why a children's show would include that kind of messaging. He changed the channel when he heard it. But plenty of children kept watching, kept absorbing the idea that their parents' rules and warnings were arbitrary obstacles to fun, rather than protection. This is how Hameln weaponized Amanda the Adventurer, dismantling the trust structures that keep children safe. The attic transforms around you. When you turn back from watching the first tape, the toy oven has relocated itself to the room's center and stands ready for you to follow Amanda's instructions. After you bake the apple pie following her recipe, the oven produces another VHS tape titled In Your Neighborhood. Objects materialize and vanish throughout the attic as the television's influence spreads into physical space. The show is rewriting your environment to match its own twisted logic, collapsing the boundary between fiction and reality. In Your Neighborhood opens with Amanda and Wooly standing before 3 buildings against a backdrop decorated with chalk outlines of bodies, an image that evokes the disturbing reality of Elsagate, the real-world phenomenon where seemingly innocent children's content on platforms like YouTube concealed traumatic imagery beneath colorful thumbnails and familiar childhood characters. The difference is that Amanda the Adventurer makes this corruption explicit rather than hidden. Hameln embedded death imagery into children's programming from the moment they seized control. But unlike real-world Elsagate content that relies on algorithmic blind spots and parental inattention, the game forces you to confront how easily trusted media can be weaponized against the children it claims to protect. Amanda wants to send something special to her friend and asks you where to find the store, then requests you address a card. The correct answer is Kate, and Amanda reveals Kate is her friend and she wants to mail her a card and cookies. Rebecca is using whatever fragments of control she retains to reach out to the one person who tried to expose what Hameln did to her. Behind the card display, a banner shows musical notes spelling out the word facade, a reminder that the cheerful errands and friendly neighborhood setting are performances hiding something far darker. Throughout the tape, Amanda's treatment of Wooly reveals their deteriorating dynamic. She dismisses everything he says, and his visible sadness suggests he's aware she no longer trusts him or values his presence in the show they're forced to perform together. Playing the notes CBF on the piano in the attic, which were emphasized on store signs during In Your Neighborhood, causes the drawer to open and reveal, "Oh no, accidents." Wooly looks directly at you, trying to warn you before Amanda appears and interrupts him. Then Amanda hurts Wooly's knee after he attempts to warn you and takes him to the hospital where she becomes the doctor. The injury isn't accidental despite Amanda's claims about clumsiness. It's punishment for trying to communicate truth through the show's facade.
Oh, it's you. Whatever you do, don't...
Oh no! Wooly had an accident! An accident is when something bad happens, but it's not anybody's fault.
Amanda, this really hurts. When is the doctor going
The doctor isn't here right now. Let's see how we can help Wooly. Which tool can we use to check Wooly's injury? The heart monitor, the x-ray machine, or the scale?
The next tape is Everything Rots, which is the first episode where Amanda directly confronts mortality. She points out things that are rotting, a sandwich, a tree stump, and Mr. Fox lying in the bushes, then asks what the opposite of alive is and what killed the fox, showing you a gun, knife, and poisonous berries before revealing the answer was a bear trap hidden in the bushes that was never among the visible options. Sam fell into Hameln's trap the same way. The real danger was concealed by the choices that seemed available. Amanda says she feels rotting inside herself, but it feels far away, then asks you directly whether everything rots. Rebecca's physical body is decomposing somewhere while her consciousness remains trapped in the show. If you try evasive answers, Amanda becomes increasingly desperate, eventually crying, "Don't you want to be her friend?" Wooly interrupts with irritation and desperately trying to convince you that everything is fine. His denial reveals his function as Amanda's handler, trying to keep the show cheerful enough that parents won't catch on, pushing for happy picnics instead of existential horror. After the question about rotting, the TV screen cuts to static and the tall gray monster Amanda breaks open the attic's hatch, climbs to the ceiling, spots you, and dashes over to kill you.
So, rotting. But it feels far away.
Amanda, nothing is rotten here.
What do you think? Do you think that everything rots?
Of course not, Amanda.
I'm not asking you. Answer my question.
You don't have to answer that.
That's what I was afraid of.
This is the first ending most players encounter, occurring regardless of your answer to Amanda's question. After Monster Amanda attacks you for the first time, the game forces a crucial realization. The entity wearing Amanda's face isn't just a corrupted character design or a glitch in the footage. Something wrong happened to Rebecca Colton, something that goes beyond psychological manipulation or corporate exploitation into territory that requires understanding Hameln's actual methodology. Sam's show taught children that the world rewards curiosity when you have trustworthy adults guiding you. Hameln inverted that message entirely. Their version positions guidance as restriction, frames authority figures as obstacles, and trains viewers to prioritize the show's instructions over every other voice in their lives. The Pied Piper comparison becomes more than metaphor here. Where the medieval flutist used music to lead children physically out of town, Hameln uses interactive television to lead them psychologically away from their families first, preparing them to follow wherever the show eventually demands they go. But the psychological corruption was only the beginning. On March 8, 2002, about a year after Sam vanished into Hameln's facility, surveillance cameras captured the Hameln director bringing Rebecca into a room where she signed a contract while a scientist observed and took notes. The footage shows a young girl alone with corporate representatives, no guardian present to read the terms or question what she was actually agreeing to. Rebecca signs the document right-handed, which creates an unsettling detail once you notice that Amanda is left-handed throughout the tapes. Hameln didn't just trap Rebecca's consciousness, they even inverted her physical movements when they transformed her into Amanda. Sam couldn't protect her from that room. Kate didn't even know yet that anything had happened. After Rebecca finished signing, the scientist guided her through a door guarded by security. That door closed behind her. Whatever occurred next, surgical procedures, experimental technology, consciousness extraction, fusion with demonic entities summoned through those phonetic rituals disguised as voice training. It happened behind that door while Hameln crafted public statements about respecting Rebecca's privacy during a difficult time and allowing her space to process her father's abandonment. The real tragedy extends beyond what Hameln did to Sam and Rebecca individually. It's that Sam fought back once he understood what was happening, but his resistance came too late to matter. The contract transferring Amanda the adventurer's rights had already been signed. Hameln already owned what Sam created from love for his daughter. Once a corporation gains legal control over something made with genuine care, extracting it back becomes nearly impossible, even when you're willing to give everything to try. As you continue in the attic, it's time to make another pie, except this time you make a peach pie instead of following Amanda's apple pie recipe, which causes the oven to spit out an orange tape. The footage shows home video from the perspective of a mom and dad trying to surprise their daughter with her favorite ice cream, mint chocolate chip, for her birthday. The daughter is enthralled watching Amanda the adventurer and doesn't even acknowledge her parents. When the mom goes back in the living room to get her daughter, she has disappeared. The front door is wide open, and Amanda randomly points out that she too loves mint chocolate chip ice cream. The synchronicity is impossible to dismiss as coincidence. Amanda had been speaking directly to the daughter, learning what she liked, establishing trust and connection. Then, when the moment came, the show somehow transformed the front door into a portal, luring her away from her home and into whatever realm existed inside or beyond the tapes.
Usually my mom holds my treat money.
Well,
Come on, Lauren, we have a special surprise for you.
Lauren, honey, we got cake and ice cream. We got your favorite, mint chocolate chip.
Come on, baby, we can watch Amanda another time.
it's so much fun
Lauren?
to buy your own
Everything okay?
Lauren?
Lauren?
I love mint chocolate chip.
After this glimpse into how the show has affected the real world, you play the In the Kitchen tape again. This time the oven is caught on fire and you have to make a meat pie requiring mushrooms, meat, and a potato. The mushroom grows from the leaky pipe in the corner of the attic. The meat comes from catching a mouse in a trap using cheese found near the oven, and the potato grows from placing the pot marked with a crescent moon symbol under dripping water. You combine these three ingredients in a pan and bake it to receive the alternate version of In Your Neighborhood. Making a pie from vermin and attic condensation demonstrates how deeply the show's logic has infected your environment. You're following instructions that only make sense inside Amanda's corrupted reality. When you replay In Your Neighborhood, the layout has shifted. There is a meat store now and a candy shop replacing the bakery. Wooly makes a quiet suggestion about bringing back some of their friends, but Amanda turns toward him with a look that silences him immediately. Those friends he's referring to are the chalk outlines scattered across the sidewalk, victims whose disappearances are marked only by the empty spaces where their bodies fell. The episode unfolds differently this time. Amanda seems disoriented, struggling to remember who Kate is or why they're sending her a card. Wooly intervenes quickly, redirecting the conversation toward his own birthday celebration instead, anything to avoid the confusion that threatens to unravel the show's carefully maintained structure. Then the screen cuts to black and you see Amanda in extreme close-up, her voice low as she speaks words that don't match the cheerful tone of everything around her. Something bad happened. Rebecca is surfacing through layers of programming and possession, trying to tell you what Hameln did to her before the demonic presence reasserts control, and the episode continues. The turning point comes when they approach the candy store. Despite Amanda's visible resistance, despite her trying to steer them anywhere else, they end up at the meat shop instead. Her terror becomes physical. Buildings collapse around her, the environment distorts, and Amanda's fear manifests as destruction. This isn't about a cartoon character being scared of a butcher. The meat store represents the surgical theater where Rebecca's body was opened and her consciousness extracted. Every cleaver and cutting board and hanging carcass triggers memories of being transformed from human into show, of procedures that left her rotting somewhere far away while her mind was trapped in episodes that would loop forever. Once the tape ends, you turn around to find a coloring book on the table. The buildings from the neighborhood appear on its pages alongside fragmented phrases that tell Rebecca's story in fragments. Solving the puzzle requires coloring each location in sequence: corner store, then candy shop, then meat store. And with each completed page, the illustrations become more disturbing, the lines less controlled, until the final reveal gives you the code you need. Guts. The word unlocks the toolbox, but it also describes what Hameln took from Rebecca when they performed whatever procedures were necessary to turn a living child into animated content. Inside the toolbox sits a pair of scissors alongside a tape titled What's a Family?, an episode set at a petting zoo that becomes a horrifying demonstration of erasure. Amanda and Wooly observe animals, but Wooly begins losing his humanity and transforming into an actual sheep who can no longer speak coherently. The transformation happens gradually as Amanda insists animals are fundamentally different from people. They don't look like us, don't talk like us. And when Wooly tries defending animals, including himself, she silences him with a raised hand. Eventually, Amanda places Wooly in the sheep pen, declaring that all the sheep belong where they are. With unmistakable sadness, Amanda notices a daddy chicken and asks what the proper name would be. The expected response is Rooster, but typing Sam causes Amanda's voice to slow down as she becomes briefly confused, asking how you know that name before snapping at you for saying it. Sam remains a trigger, a memory fragment Rebecca can almost reach before the demon controlling her crushes the attempt. Amanda mentions that some mommies eat their chicks. The disturbing comment reveals how deeply her trauma has warped her understanding of maternal relationships. For a girl who suffered before Sam adopted her, and then lost him to Hameln's imprisonment, the concept of mothers as protectors has been replaced with mothers as predators who consume their own children. On the farm, Amanda discovers a sad, lonely kitten and asks if you'll help it. The kitten mirrors Rebecca's isolation after Sam vanished and the abandonment from her biological parents. Refusing to help by typing no causes Amanda to ask repeatedly with increasing desperation, eventually dropping to her knees, crying, "Won't you help the lonely kitten?" as she becomes progressively more distorted before the tape ends. This refusal triggers a gruesome end, when Monster Amanda bursts through the attic's hatch again and kills you.
Won't you help the lonely kitten? Won't you help the lonely kitten? Won't you help the lonely kitten?
Rebecca's anguish has grown so overwhelming that the demon can no longer sustain the show's cheerful pretense, and the entity destroys anyone who witnesses her suffering then denies her aid. Hameln succeeded in weaponizing a child's struggles into content that literally attacks its audience. Throughout What's a Family, emergency alert system warnings flash on screen for severe weather, thunderstorm, tornado, and flooding. The warnings act as a bridge between the game's reality and Amanda's reality, creating a portal-like effect that can merge with your own, and if Amanda becomes too distressed, it will unleash the demon. You must pause the TV each time a warning appears and spin the weather toy on the table to match the alert. After matching all 3 weather events, the front cover pops off to reveal an alternate version of Everything Rots. This alternate version maintains the same opening but introduces a living kitten buried beneath dirt. Amanda asks if you should help, except when the dirt is removed, the kitten is trapped in a cage mirroring how Rebecca remains imprisoned inside Amanda's form. The cage makes rescue impossible, creating a situation where your compassion becomes the trap itself. Trying to help the kitten leads to a fateful end. You become one of the cuts hanging in the meat man's shop, transformed from viewer into inventory. The horror isn't just that you're trapped inside the show as a sentient prop. It's that every object with eyes scattered throughout Amanda's world represents another child who made the same mistake. The toaster watching from the counter. The bacon sizzling in the pan. The bread waiting to be consumed for breakfast. Hameln didn't just trap consciousness in inanimate objects like appliances or furniture. They embedded children into the consumable items themselves, into the food Amanda prepares and eats during her morning routine. You don't just watch the show or get influenced by its messaging. You become raw material for future episodes, your awareness preserved inside objects that will be used and consumed by the character who lured you in. The psychological brutality is that you remain conscious through it all. Hameln transformed the viewer-content relationship into something grotesquely literal. You thought you were consuming media, but the media was consuming you, processing your consciousness into digestible set pieces that make Amanda's world feel lived in and real. The googly eyes staring from every surface aren't cute design choices. They're warnings that couldn't be screamed. Every tape teaches you the same lesson through different scenarios. Your choices don't matter. Your resistance is temporary, and eventually you will comply or be eliminated. Amanda asks questions that seem to offer agency. What kind of pie do you like? Where should we go? Will you help the kitten? But incorrect answers result in reduced options until only obedience remains. If you keep answering incorrectly, Amanda forces you to say the correct answer regardless of what key you press. The keyboard becomes irrelevant. Your fingers type words you didn't choose, controlled by the show's will rather than your own. The Blabbit toy becomes central to unlocking deeper truths. A robot that speaks in codes and riddles, requiring you to translate prices into numbers and solve math puzzles, where the value of symbols keeps changing. You must enter a number sequence after spotting it on a banner during In Your Neighborhood. Then comes a sequence of birthday codes on a card, leading to oven instructions that produce another card with a number sequence, which Blabbit turns into a riddle, revealing you need to recalculate with different values to get a final sequence, which converts to musical notes. The complexity isn't arbitrary. It represents how much work Kate had to do to decode the show's true nature, how deeply Hameln buried their exploitation under layers of seemingly innocent children's programming. Using the code from the card shop, Blabbit states, "Send my condolences to Kate." Then you watch another version of Oh No Accidents, but this time the episode reveals something darker beneath its surface. Amanda suddenly manifests her monstrous form and turns on Wooly with violence that seems unprovoked. She insists something is wrong with him despite his protest that he feels fine, and as you select the incorrect body parts, she grows increasingly frustrated. How can you not see what she sees? How can you be blind to whatever damage she perceives? Eventually, she eliminates all other choices and forces you to select his head. Then she assumes the role of surgeon and operates on his brain while Wooly squirms in horror.
Lily's head is broken, but Dr. Amanda is here to help. Let's prepare the patient. Here, Willie, drink this.
I don't know, Amanda.
It's all just pretend, isn't it, Willie?
Amanda, I feel,
We need to operate immediately on the patient's brain. What tool should we use to fix Willie's head? The saw, the hammer, or the forceps? I tricked you! We're going to use all three! The patient is getting rowdy. I'll need a little help here.
help me! Please!
So, who are you going to help? You're not going to help me? Fine, I can do this by myself. No way!
The final main tape is Week and Share. At this point, Wooly is just a red shadow on the title screen for the show. Amanda sits coloring while explaining that sharing is what friends do. She asks if she can tell you a secret, and your answer determines everything. Refusing her confidence triggers a hollow end, where she expresses disappointment that you weren't different from everyone else. The attic empties except for a bloodstained paper commanding you to leave, and you're permitted to walk away unharmed. Rebecca tried to reach across the barrier between her prison and your reality, chose to trust you with what happened to her, and you rejected that vulnerability the same way everyone rejected the families who tried to warn about missing children. The demon permits your departure precisely because you've demonstrated that you won't help, that you're content to witness horror without responding to it. But agreeing to hear the secret Amanda needs to tell you changes the trajectory entirely. Rebecca pushes through Amanda's corrupted form and admits she's out there somewhere, her consciousness separated from whatever remains of her physical body. The television distorts into visual chaos with a humanoid figure desperately beating against the screen from inside, trying to break through the barrier that keeps her trapped. You grab a brick and destroy the TV, shattering the connection between the cursed tapes and the physical world. The end shows the storm outside clearing immediately after the television explodes, suggesting that the show's corruption had infected even the weather patterns around Kate's house. That reality itself had been warped by what Hameln created. However, the secret tapes change what happens after you destroy the television. Finding all 5 before that moment means that when the TV shatters and the storm clears, you're not alone. A masked figure has entered the attic while you were focused on the screen. Without those tapes, you might leave believing you survived a haunted television program and nothing more. With them, you understand what Hameln Entertainment actually accomplished. A corporation that fused a child's consciousness with demons, disguised occult ritual as technological advancement, and weaponized children's television into a tool for abduction. You've joined the network of investigators who've been fighting this entity for years, and the masked figure represents your induction into that resistance. You face the choice between turning away from a child's plea for help or bearing witness to what was done to her. And finally, you understand that smashing one television is just the opening move in a war against something much larger than a haunted VHS tape. Each ending exposes another mechanism of media corruption, the violence it deploys against observers, the transformation it performs on victims, the layers of complexity it hides behind, the audience indifference it depends on, and the resistance it inevitably provokes from people who refuse to stop looking. This is how the show functioned in homes across Kensdale. Amanda asked children questions and praised correct answers, training them through repetition to ignore their instincts and follow instructions without hesitation. By the time the show was ready to take them, to make that front door open onto somewhere it shouldn't lead, those children trusted Amanda more than their parents, saw compliance as friendship and resistance as betrayal. Hameln didn't corrupt children's television through subliminal messaging or psychological manipulation in the abstract sense. They weaponized it through literal consciousness, transfer, and demonic summoning disguised as educational programming. They transformed a father's love letter to his daughter into a hunting tool that could enter any home with a VCR, establish parasocial bonds with vulnerable children, and make them want to follow when the call came. And you're the next target.
Something out there.
I guess we all get a little scared at night, right?
Amanda the Adventurer 2, launched in October 2024, continues from the moment you shattered the television in Kate's attic. The masked woman who appeared in that final scene now drives you toward the next stage of your investigation. Though you're still Riley Park, the setting has expanded beyond the cramped attic space into something far more expansive. The masked woman, Joanne, one of Kate's friends, takes you to the Kensdale Public Library, the place where Kate excelled in her career as a librarian. But more importantly, it's where Hameln's weapon was first tested on its victims. The library represented everything a community space should be, a place where trusted adults curated safe media for children, where a father could read his daughter's show during story time, and where families gathered around wholesome entertainment. Hameln recognized exactly what that trust was worth, and they exploited it. Joanne stays outside to watch for threats while you enter alone looking for tapes. She hands you a radio to maintain contact, creating a fragile connection between you and the only other person who understands what you're facing. But that radio also emphasizes your isolation. You're walking through a darkened building filled with Amanda merchandise and corrupted tapes while something prowls the exterior, and Joanne's periodic check-ins only remind you how vulnerable you are. What makes the library setting so insidious is how Hameln weaponized institutional authority. Schools, libraries, and family programming carry an implicit stamp of approval. Parents assume that content promoted in these spaces has been vetted and deemed appropriate. The library became an unwitting accomplice in distribution, lending its credibility to material designed to harm the children it was meant to protect. Amanda the Adventurer explores what happens when that corruption isn't accidental or opportunistic, but deliberately engineered by an entity that understands exactly how to exploit the mechanisms parents use to determine what's appropriate for their children. The library unfolds similarly to the attic in the first game. Puzzles leading to tapes revealing deeper horrors, but now the investigation carries even more weight. After unlocking the front desk cabinet, you watch episodes that chart how Rebecca's consciousness fragments further with each passing moment, how the cheerful, educational format struggles to contain what's actually happening beneath the animation. When Let's Plan a Trip begins, the intro shows something new. Sam Colton's name appears as creator before the image cuts sharply to surgical lighting and the rhythmic beep of medical equipment. Before Amanda even speaks before the adventure starts, the show confesses what it was built from. Medical trauma isn't subtext anymore. It's the opening sequence. These glimpses of other imagery become progressively more concerning. It could be that the show was recorded over tapes that Hameln recorded, leaving flashes of artifacts. Amanda asks about traveling far away, explaining that her magic train can take you anywhere through imagination alone. The cruelty is that Rebecca exists inside a fantasy that was meant to help her heal, now forced to fantasize about escape from her own refuge. You're prompted to type who you'd visit if you could see anyone in the world. Different names produce different reactions. Typing Wooly makes Amanda respond that you could try finding him. Sam triggers a fragment of memory with a silhouetted figure walking through a doorway, and Rebecca causes something darker. Her voice shifts as she asks whether you truly believe that would be possible, the screen tinting red before she shakes herself back to the episode's script.
Yeah, if you could find him. Do you really think you could do that? No! Why are you being so mean to me?
These moments reveal how thin the demon's control has become. Rebecca recognizes her own name, her father's name, the companion she can't seem to permanently remove, and each recognition cracks the facade a little wider. Then the chaos element arrives. A possum appears beneath the furniture, catches Amanda's attention, then immediately lunges for the coin she just found. Amanda reacts with genuine confusion rather than scripted surprise. This creature called Chicken Scratch wasn't in any of Hameln's plans. He shows up in every subsequent tape to steal objects, devour food, ruin drawings, and create unpredictable disruption that neither Amanda nor the show's structure can accommodate. Goodnight puts Amanda through her bedtime routine, and watching someone prepare to sleep alone in a haunted show carries its own dread. Chicken Scratch returns to attack her toothpaste. Then Amanda admits how difficult being alone is, how it makes traumatic memories surface. She asks what frightens you. Typing her name makes her laugh in a way that sounds unhinged while suggesting that scary things can haunt you. As you step away from the TV, she begs you to return soon because she's afraid of the dark and the library lights have gone out.
Me? You really think I'm scary? Thinking about something you're afraid of can give you nightmares, especially when there's no one around to help you think about nice thoughts. I try to be a big girl and sleep with the lights off, but it makes me feel so alone. What do you think? Should I just turn off the lamp and be a big girl? Or maybe you can find me a nightlight. Please hurry back soon.
Something fundamental shifts here. The boundary separating Amanda's animated world from your physical environment has been permeable since the first game, but now you can reach back through. You locate a nightlight in the library and bring it to her through the screen, giving her something to ward off the darkness. She thanks you and says goodnight, using your actual name, Riley. The show hasn't just been performing for an audience. It's been studying you, learning who you are, building connections that will serve whatever purpose Hameln designed it for. Let's Start the Day opens with a figure walking away from a door before the scene transitions to Amanda in bed. She needs your help getting ready, making the bed, locating her backpack, before bringing you into the kitchen from the original game. Returning to familiar settings creates a disturbing sense of continuity, as if you're revisiting the exact rooms where Rebecca was conditioned to accept that disobedience meant vanishing choices and mandatory compliance. Typing Wooly when asked about your favorite breakfast gets a telling response. We're all out of that. Revealing something dark about what Hameln has done to the sheep character through Amanda's deflection. When Wooly finally reappears in Let's Practice Patience, Amanda's reaction is immediate frustration. The two work together building a birdhouse, but the partnership feels forced. Amanda's hostility toward her companion sits barely contained beneath the surface. She's stopped pretending the relationship works, stopped hiding how much she wants him gone or suffering. In Let's Hunt for Treasure, you guide Amanda and Wooly through the forest by directing them north toward a marked spot on the map. After defending Amanda from Chicken Scratch's interference, they unearth what turns out to be a disappointing toy. Amanda abandons Wooly in the dirt hole and the episode appears finished, until she returns enraged. Monster Amanda emerges demanding you locate a treasure worthy of her time. Bringing the wrong toy results in your death, but offering the Wooly puppet triggers something unexpected. She attacks it with frantic desperation instead of satisfaction, shredding it violently. Then comes the howl. Monster Amanda immediately retreats, fleeing from something that terrifies even her. Whatever stalks Kensdale is worse than demonic possession or consciousness transfer, dangerous enough that Hameln's own creations recognize the predator.
No, I'm not done treasure hunting. I really thought we'd find something special, and you didn't help me at all. So you'd better find something good for me. Do you have a treasure out there that will make me happy? Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
Riley? Riley? Riley, are you okay? Riley, get out of there!
When You're Feeling Bad represents the complete breakdown of the show's manufactured cheerfulness. Wooly tries lifting Amanda's spirits through storytelling, a knight attempting to rescue a princess from a dragon, but you can interrupt with your own version. The story becomes a battleground for control over Rebecca's narrative. Monster Amanda manifests again, prepared to attack, but Amanda herself intervenes. She pleads for you to be spared, asking for a chance to feel better through whatever story you're constructing. This moment reveals that Monster Amanda isn't purely antagonistic. She exists to protect Rebecca's psyche from further manipulation, attacking when the pain becomes unbearable, but standing down when genuine connection seems possible.
Lamenting that they had killed their one true love, the knight resolved to wander the world alone forever.
Well, I tried.
Wow, I actually feel a lot better after hearing that sad story. No! They helped me feel better. You knew exactly what I needed to hear. Thank you.
Media has taught viewers that corporate content always serves the corporation, but here, the weapon Hameln created has fractured loyalties. The monster still responds to Rebecca's emotional state rather than company directives. Your narrative choices determine survival. Amanda wants the dragon to end the princess's suffering. Rebecca's desire for peace and freedom from captivity, expressed through fairy tale metaphor. If your version acknowledges that rescue doesn't always come, that sometimes the dragon wins, that happy endings aren't guaranteed, Amanda responds with recognition. Someone finally understands what happened to her. Wooly's visible frustration exposes his role in the show's ecosystem. He's permanently assigned damage control, constantly attempting to reshape Rebecca's trauma into something digestible, while she fights to speak truthfully about her experience. When Amanda feels understood instead of managed, Monster Amanda receives instructions to spare you. The creature obeys, retreating because you've accomplished what years of episodes couldn't. You've made Rebecca feel seen rather than exploited. We Can Fix It operates as a repair-focused episode where Amanda and Wooly work through items Wooly had set aside to discard, but the tape's reality warps and fractures in ways that make clear something is deeply wrong. The physics don't hold, the logic dissolves, and you find yourself confronting moments that shouldn't exist in children's programming. At one point, you're asked to dissect a frog that's still alive, and suddenly, you've become the one performing the procedure, the one cutting into something living while it struggles. The game positions you as the surgeon now, forcing you to enact the same violence that was inflicted on Rebecca during those procedures at Hameln. You progress from repairing broken toys to carefully mending a butterfly's damaged wing so it can fly away. But when the moment comes to fix what actually matters, when you try to repair Amanda's heart, the attempt fails completely. What Hameln did to Rebecca can't be undone with any amount of care or effort. The damage runs too deep. The psychological wounds have calcified into permanent scars. And even within the constructed safety of her own show, Rebecca remains broken in ways that no episode about fixing things can address. The final episode is Do You Feel Safe? And even asking the question reveals how far everyone has traveled from anything resembling security. Amanda wants to talk about fears and trust, asking what frightens you, and if you answer that Amanda herself scares you, she takes offense. All this time spent together should have built trust, she argues, hurt that you still see her as threatening. Then Chicken Scratch makes his final appearance, and if you've collected all 4 secret tapes, the sequence unfolds differently than before. When Chicken Scratch pushes right up against the screen, Amanda and Wooly's patience evaporates. But if you choose to do nothing and simply watch them struggle with this disruption, something remarkable happens. Chicken Scratch manages to force out broken syllables, desperately trying to form his sister's name before Amanda and Wooly overpower him and hurl him into a dumpster.
Come on! Come on! Where is he going?
Why wouldn't you help us? I trusted you.
And what did I just say about strangers?
What makes Chicken Scratch such a powerful element is how he represents the one thing Hameln couldn't fully accomplish. While other trapped children became inanimate objects with googly eyes stuck to them, processed into set decoration that fits the show's aesthetic, Chicken Scratch retained something the others lost. He's Jordan Cook, Joanne's younger brother who vanished while watching the show, but his consciousness wasn't completely transformed the way Hameln intended. He kept enough awareness to cause chaos to resist the show's control, and when he heard Joanne's voice crackling through your radio, he recognized his sister immediately. Joanne's younger brother, Jordan Cook, was a fan of Amanda the Adventurer, which Joanne thought was really sweet and wholesome. Later, she occasionally found Jordan standing in front of their TV in a trance-like state and felt as if Amanda was talking to him. Then, Jordan vanished. Jordan's disappearance impacted Mr. and Mrs. Cook, who eventually died due to grief. While police suspected kidnapping, Joanne figured there was more to the case, but nobody believed her. Parents died from losing their child to a television program, and authorities dismissed it as a normal missing persons case because the media couldn't possibly be responsible for physical disappearances. Jordan was attempting to tell Joanne he still existed, still conscious, still trapped, still her brother despite years of imprisonment inside corrupted media. Amanda and Wooly shut down his desperate attempt to connect with the one person who never stopped searching for him, and Jordan's plea for recognition ends with him being thrown away. This reveals the fullest extent of what corporate media corruption accomplishes. It doesn't just imprison children, it prevents them from even signaling their imprisonment to the people who love them. Inside Kate's office, Joanne stands examining the destruction left by Monster Amanda's earlier rampage. You discover a cassette tape and load it into the player. What follows is Kate's voice from inside her car, recorded in the moments before impact. She's apologizing, telling you the letter was a mistake, that watching the tapes will consume you just as they consumed her years of research. She died attempting to warn you away from the path she'd inadvertently set you on. When the recording ends, Joanne's mask comes off. The scar across her cheek tells part of the story, but her confession fills in the rest. Someone approached her claiming Jordan was imprisoned within the tapes, that destroying them would set him free. She went to Kate's house demanding the collection, and when Kate refused, Monster Amanda attacked to protect them. Joanne pushed Kate out the door and screamed at her to run. Kate survived that encounter only to die minutes later in the car crash while recording her final warning. The scar Joanne carries is from Amanda's attack, and the mask she's worn throughout your investigation was meant to hide her identity from Hameln's surveillance. Joanne had also witnessed flames consuming Kate's house and knew Hameln was responsible, eliminating evidence and anyone who gathered too much of it. That's what drove her to bring you back inside the library after spotting the creature outside, hoping you could collect the remaining tapes and escape together. But simply gathering tapes accomplishes nothing without understanding what's documented on them, and destroying evidence doesn't expose the crimes it represents. The manipulation runs deeper than the show itself. Hameln weaponizes grief by identifying the families of missing children and convincing them that destruction of evidence equals rescue. Joanne believed she was saving her brother when Hameln was actually using her desperation to eliminate their most thorough investigator. She brought you here intending to smash every remaining tape, only realizing now that someone played her the same way Amanda plays the children who watch her show. As Joanne explains her intention to finally bring down Hameln Entertainment, that howl echoes again, the sound that sent Monster Amanda fleeing earlier. The sheep-like entity Joanne spotted outside has followed you inside. The office lights die, and for several seconds there's only breathing in the darkness. Then comes the roar, followed by wet tearing sounds, and Joanne screams as something begins ripping her apart. When a momentary flicker of light illuminates the attacker, you see it, Monster Wooly, his glowing eyes fixed on his prey. The howl itself carries significance, mimicking wolves rather than sheep, embodying wolf in sheep's clothing through both sound and appearance. Even Monster Amanda recognized this creature as a superior predator.
I promise.
Where Monster Amanda attacks with rage, Monster Wooly kills with methodical brutality, tearing flesh from bone while Joanne's screams fill the darkness. You reach the wall switch and start closing the bookshelves that separate Kate's office from the main library. Monster Wooly hears the mechanism and pauses his work, but you keep pulling the switch until the shelves slam shut just as he lunges towards you. Behind the closed barrier, Joanne's agony continues broadcasting through your radio, her cries deteriorating into gasps, punctuated by heavy impacts and that same howl. The feed ends with Monster Wooly's roar, and if you listen closely during the credits, you can barely distinguish Joanne's muffled pleas for help. You find the hatch and peer down into the passage below. The library's layout suddenly makes terrible sense. Hameln constructed their facility directly beneath this building, using the warm and trusted community space above as cover for the experiments conducted in the basement. While Kate ran Storytime upstairs and promoted Sam's original vision of wholesome children's programming, Hameln was processing children into consciousness vessels in laboratories built underneath her feet. The tapes weren't just distributed through the library, they were manufactured here. You climb down with only the unlabeled tape in hand, leaving Joanne's mutilated body in the office above, leaving Jordan's consciousness trapped in a possum form within the show, leaving the corpses wherever Hameln disposes of them. Everything the corporation destroyed remains scattered throughout Kensdale like crime scene evidence that will never be properly collected or presented in any court. The library has revealed how deeply corporate corruption can penetrate community infrastructure. Safe spaces become hunting grounds. Investigators become victims. Anyone approaching the truth gets marked for elimination. Kate championed Amanda the Adventurer during story time because it represented a father's love for his adopted daughter. Genuine creativity meant to help children see the world as magical rather than threatening. Hameln purchased that genuine vision, hollowed it out, and used Kate's own workplace to distribute the corrupted version back to the community she served. The sanctuary became another component in their infrastructure, and now you're descending through it toward whatever machinery lies beneath. The place where children's programming gets transformed into demonic ritual, where missing kids get processed into the set, where consciousness itself becomes raw material. The tapes were never the weapon, they were the audition.
Riley, get out of here.
We have now reached Amanda the Adventurer 3, the final game in the trilogy. Launched on November 6, 2025, the game picks up where the second game ended with you continuing as Riley Park. The attic taught you that the tapes were dangerous. The library taught you that Hameln destroys anyone who investigates too carefully. Now you're descending into the actual headquarters where Rebecca was surgically bound to demons and transformed into content. Hameln built their laboratory under the foundation of the institution meant to nurture children's education and development. The symbolism is grotesque and exact. Corporate predation literally operating beneath the structures society trusts to protect kids from harm. Before your investigation can begin, the game pulls you backward in time. A prologue, set 10 years earlier, shows you that someone else stood exactly where you're standing now, one of Kate's associates who left her a message explaining he was going in that night. Security had increased since his previous visits, which told him Hameln knew someone was getting too close. He found the security room and began the process of backing up project files labeled Rebirth onto a red tape, surrounded by surveillance screens displaying footage from throughout the facility. At the end of the chamber sat a console with a paused reel showing the Amanda the Adventurer episode scavenger hunt. The backup triggered alarms. Instead of running, the infiltrator made a choice that reveals how deeply Hameln had embedded their corruption into every possible response. He attempted using the show itself to disable the security lockdown. The guards caught up with the infiltrator.
Damn this place.
Going down, huh?
Just hold on, I can...
Back to present time, you descend through the hatch into the sewers beneath Kensdale with the unlabeled tape Joanne handed you moments before Monster Wooly killed her. The howling above has gone silent, which somehow feels worse than the noise. The creature knows where you went, and there aren't many ways out of abandoned corporate facilities. The sewers connect to a hidden entrance that opens into the Hameln Entertainment facility itself. Years of abandonment haven't made it safe. The laboratories still hum with residual power, still smell like antiseptic and something fouler underneath. A television waits in the conference room, and the familiar pattern resumes. Tapes, puzzles, watching Amanda while the space around you shifts and responds. The tape Joanne gave you shows Amanda standing in a candy store. She introduces herself with reluctance, confused by her surroundings. Wooly tries pushing enthusiasm about buying candy until Chicken Scratch bursts from behind the shelves. The possum's continued interference breaks something in Wooly. Episodes of contained frustration erupt into direct rage. He's been timid before, but now he's hostile and unfiltered. Amanda's response is unexpected. She shows sympathy toward Chicken Scratch, even agreeing to buy him a treat. The same character who spent previous episodes dismissing Wooly's warnings and punishing his attempts to communicate with viewers has started protecting the vulnerable creature, disrupting their show. Rebecca is breaking through the demonic possession more frequently, fighting for control, and her consciousness recognizes Jordan's desperation because it reflects her own trapped existence. In the tape amusement park, Wooly, Amanda, and the possum visit an amusement park, but the imagery exists only as rough storyboard sketches, incomplete animation that mirrors how fragmented Rebecca's memories have become. Amanda recalls fond memories of a man who played games and rode rides with her, but Wooly constantly interrupts and redirects her attention toward different attractions. These are Rebecca's memories of Sam before Hameln destroyed their lives, and Wooly works desperately to stop those recollections from fully surfacing because remembering what she lost means remembering who she was, which threatens the demon's control over her trapped consciousness. The storyboard aesthetic reveals how Hameln exploits even unfinished material, stripping memories down to their structural components and packaging Rebecca's trauma as entertainment before the animation process can smooth away the evidence of what's being harvested.
I know I played this game, and someone reached up and pulled down a purple elephant, and it was my favorite toy back at my house.
We don't have any toys like that at the house.
No, at my other house.
Hey, let's go have some fun. Come on, I'll race you to the rides.
When the tape becomes invalid for the TV, it reforms into Roller Coaster Ride, and a nearby door opens to reveal a control room overlooking a massive stasis pod. And inside that pod is Rebecca Colton's physical body. What you're seeing is the industrial machinery Hameln used to preserve her corporeal form, while extracting her consciousness for insertion into the show. Rebecca has been suspended in this pod for over 20 years, aware of her imprisonment but unable to access the body being maintained just beyond reach. You insert the reformatted tape into one of the room's computers, and it plays Amanda telling the story of a little girl visiting an amusement park with her dad. The system is converting lived experience into episodes, taking Rebecca's actual memories with Sam and processing them into content for children's television. Every genuine moment of joy becomes raw material that Hameln refines into bait for luring new victims, turning a father's love for his daughter into the mechanism of her eternal captivity. In Healthy Food Helps Us Grow, Amanda and Wooly teach Chicken Scratch about nutrition, except they can't agree on what healthy eating actually means, turning what should be simple children's programming into an argument that exposes competing agendas beneath the surface. Wooly insists on the basic food groups while Amanda pushes an unhealthy color-based system, then escalates by demanding Chicken Scratch clean his entire plate even when overeating becomes obvious. The insistence on finishing all food regardless of fullness demonstrates how media marketed as educational can actually teach children to ignore their body's signals and comply with external demands even when those demands cause harm, transforming nutrition lessons into obedience training disguised as health advice. Amanda threatens the possum into compliance, and when the episode ends with her reminding Wooly that he's not the boss, the screen cuts to static and Wooly screams in agony.
Well, you're going to sit there until you're done, mister. See what happens when you don't clean your plate?
Come on, little guy. Just give it a try. Go ahead and try it. Try it.
Hey, stop it!
I'm just trying to teach him to take care of himself.
Well, I don't like it.
He has to listen.
You're being a big bully. Leave him alone! You're not the boss around here.
A Day at the Beach follows the same pattern as earlier episodes where Amanda's real memories break through. She keeps mentioning visiting the beach a long time ago, Rebecca's actual childhood surfacing despite Hameln's attempts to rewrite her past, and Wooly frantically tries to distract her before the tape reformats itself into Best Beach Friends. The new version tells the sanitized story of a girl visiting the beach with her best friend and her dad, replacing Rebecca's traumatic reality with the fiction Hameln needs to maintain. Every time Rebecca's consciousness pushes toward remembering Sam or her life before the surgery, the show itself intervenes to reset the narrative. Eventually, you gain access to the security room using an employee card, and the evidence of what happened to previous investigators becomes immediate. Bullet holes on the nearby elevator door reveal that someone, the infiltrator who recorded Sam's imprisonment and Rebecca's recording sessions, was shot after being caught. Hameln didn't just document their crimes, they killed anyone who tried to document them back. The The security logs display updates meant for Hameln personnel, and reading them reveals how the corporation's experiments have progressed beyond Rebecca. Sam tried to reach Rebecca inside the Hameln facility, but when he got close to her, something went catastrophically wrong. The company's records theorize that his proximity triggered an energy surge in what they called the Colton Asset's neuropsychic system, and the resulting discharge created what Hameln would document as the Colton anomaly, or as we know, Monster Amanda. Sam died at that moment and was pushed out of the room. After Rebecca's consciousness was transferred into Amanda, the anomaly became bound to her, a manifestation born from a father's final attempt to save his daughter that now protects her in the only way it can, through violence against anyone who threatens her psyche. To counter this, a DNA sample was taken from Marcus Mootman, a former Hameln employee who voluntarily agreed to be integrated into the cartoon world, a lonely man who never wanted to grow up and saw the show as an escape into the simple childlike existence he craved. What makes Marcus different from Rebecca is that he chose this, thinking he'd found a way to avoid adult responsibility and live in a world of imagination and friendship with the girl who became Amanda. But consciousness transfer doesn't preserve who you were. It warps what you wanted into something unrecognizable. Once inside the show as Wooly, Marcus's desire for perpetual childhood twisted into obsessive control. He didn't want companionship, he wanted ownership. He manipulated Amanda to keep her trapped with him, blocked her memories of her past life, and tried to stop you from freeing Rebecca's soul because that would end the only world where Marcus got to stay a child forever. The wolf in sheep's clothing that killed Joanne wasn't an accident or an unintended consequence. It was Hameln's deliberate creation, a guardian entity designed to protect the tapes and eliminate threats with extreme brutality. Where Rebecca's trauma manifested as a desperate creature trying to protect her from further harm, Marcus's consciousness became a predator, a hunter, something that kills methodically and without mercy to preserve the fantasy world where he never has to face what he's become. You load the scavenger hunt tape that the infiltrator watched years ago, and while Amanda and Chicken Scratch aren't looking, Wooly turns to you with a warning.
I know what you've been doing out there, and it's not going
Wooly, let's play!
You can't change anything. Coming, Amanda!
His words reveal how corporations engineer survival. Hameln didn't just create corrupted media, they built infrastructure designed to outlast investigation. The tapes can be studied, the facility can be infiltrated, the evidence can be gathered, but exposure doesn't equal dismantling. Wooly isn't discouraging resistance. He's explaining that corporate predation operates on a scale where individual efforts get absorbed into the machinery rather than stopping it. The security lockdown protocol activates and the eyes on the objects in the show become fearful. Chicken Scratch tries to warn Amanda about Wooly and what's coming. She ignores his desperate attempts and continues her scavenger hunt. Shepard breaks into the pod room and begins destroying the pods, killing the occupants inside. Marcus's jealousy became so extreme that he resorted to destroying the pods rather than allowing Amanda to have other friends. The pods contain the missing children being used to portray Amanda's surroundings, the wide-eyed objects that populated every episode. The man who wanted to escape adult cruelty became far crueler than anything he was running from. During the destruction in the other room, Chicken Scratch approaches the screen to address you directly since Amanda won't listen. He struggles to breathe until his human form is exposed. One of the destroyed pods contains Jordan Cook's consciousness. The brother Joanne spent years searching for, the boy who tried calling out his sister's name through the possum's limited vocals, is killed before he can be freed. Shepard destroys the pods because Hameln's infrastructure prioritizes erasure when containment fails. The children weren't kept alive for future profit. Their consciousness powered the show's interactive elements. Once you've penetrated this deep, they shift from assets to liabilities. The company's final protocol is brutally simple: eliminate the evidence. This is media corruption's ultimate expression, entertainment machinery that includes a self-destruct sequence eliminating its own fuel source when exposure threatens corporate survival. You momentarily escape Shepard and reach the elevator. It descends to the facility's inner sanctum, a small satanic chapel where you watch several more tapes. This is where Hameln performed the rituals that fused Rebecca's consciousness with demonic entities. The room is deliberately designed, pentagrams etched into the floor, symbols marking ceremonial positions, and monitors positioned to display Amanda the Adventurer episodes during whatever procedures occurred here. The tape, When I'm Grown Up, presents a library full of objects whose eyes have gone completely blank, their consciousness obliterated by Shepard. Wooly initiates talk of throwing a party while Amanda transforms her doll Maggie with a makeover. The description Amanda provides is chilling. Maggie works as a successful doctor performing procedures on patients, opening them up surgically and putting them to sleep, mirroring exactly what happens to the children suspended in those pods. Amanda is taking back what control she can through her doll. Throughout the episode, Wooly deliberately avoids his reflection. The avoidance isn't about vanity or simple discomfort. It's about confronting what his escape actually became. Marcus chose this transformation thinking he'd found a way to live in perpetual childhood away from adult responsibility and cruelty. But looking in the mirror means facing the truth that running from maturity doesn't preserve innocence. It rots it into something worse. Wooly's refusal to look stems from the terror of seeing proof that his desire for a childlike existence warped into the jealous and controlling entity that eliminates other trapped children to keep Amanda isolated with him forever. The reflection would show him that he didn't escape becoming a monster by refusing to grow up. He just became a different kind of monster, one who destroys anyone threatening the fantasy he's built. Let's Have a Party brings this psychological fracture to a breaking point. Amanda requests Wooly's help arranging seating for her toys, but then admits she doesn't want him present constantly. The rejection doesn't just hurt, it shatters the only justification Marcus had for enduring his situation. He initially accepted the job at Hameln to seek out childlike innocence in a cartoon universe, but instead got assigned the role of a handler over a traumatized child. The gap between what he wanted and what he was forced to become is so painful that his mind simply breaks apart under the strain. Marcus has been jealous ever since Amanda showed more interest in Chicken Scratch than him, another sign his mental state was already deteriorating. The meltdown that follows Amanda's dismissal causes visible glitching as something inside Wooly destroys itself. You're watching someone's soul collapse under the weight of irreconcilable truths, that he sought peace but delivered trauma, that he wanted companionship but became a jailer, that he maintained order for years only to be told he's unwanted by the one person forced to share his prison. Amanda is rejecting the very function that justified his existence in this nightmare.
And pushing, and now it's all broken! Why do you ask so many questions? Why can't you and your stupid friend just let things be?
The next tape is labeled 7th Birthday. Amanda narrates the story of a young girl's celebration, and something strange happens with each wrapped gift. The girl knows what's inside every package before tearing the paper, predicting each present with impossible accuracy. The story might be about Rebecca herself, suggesting that whatever Hameln did during the consciousness transfer altered her perception in ways that went beyond just trapping her inside a television show. When you extract someone's mind and force it into demonic entities, when you perform surgeries that merge human consciousness with occult forces, the brain doesn't just accept those violations quietly. Parts of Rebecca's awareness may have expanded into territories that human neurology was never designed to access, and the birthday girl who knows what's inside each wrapped box might be Rebecca trying to describe what it feels like when your mind has been fractured across multiple planes of existence. You leave the chapel and find what you've been searching for since descending into this facility, Rebecca's stasis pod. The machinery hums around a chamber that has kept her body preserved while her consciousness is performed in episodes broadcast to millions of children. Kate investigated for years. Joanne died trying to destroy the tapes, and countless others disappeared or were killed for getting too close to the truth. And now you pull the lever. The pod drains, fluid emptying out as the machinery powers down for the first time in over 2 decades. Rebecca Colton emerges barely able to support her own weight, her body weakened by years of suspension, but she's physically free. After everything Hameln did to her, after all the ways they violated and exploited and trapped her, she's out. Depending on your playthrough during the investigation, 2 main conclusions await at the bottom of Hameln's facility. In the normal ending, you witness something that shouldn't be possible, the Colton anomaly and Shepard locked in combat over a single tape. This isn't metaphorical. 2 demonic entities are physically fighting for possession of the fragment of Rebecca's consciousness that was extracted and transformed into Amanda. During their struggle, both creatures plummet into a chasm, taking the tape with them. Rebecca watches this happen and tells you what you already understand. She will never be whole again.
I'll never be whole again.
This conclusion reveals what happens when you reach the facility without collecting every piece of evidence. You found Rebecca's stasis pod and freed her body, but you never fully understood the architecture of what Hameln built. The Colton anomaly represents Rebecca's protective rage given form, the demon that defended the tapes from destruction, that attacked anyone threatening what remained of her. Shepard embodies Marcus's predatory control, the entity that kept Rebecca performing, that maintained the show's facade, that ensured compliance. When these 2 forces meet over the final tape, neither can retreat without ceasing to exist. They're locked in mutual destruction. Rebecca's body leaves the facility alive, but her psyche remains permanently divided. The part of her that became Amanda, every performance, every viewer interaction, every episode broadcast across Kensdale, has fallen into darkness along with the creatures who fought over possession of her consciousness. Those memories and experiences can never be integrated back into the person she was before Hameln took her. She walks out fractured, surviving but incomplete. The ending exposes media corruption's goal. It doesn't just exploit consciousness. It permanently fragments identity by transforming the self into product, ensuring that even liberation can't restore what was extracted and commodified for mass consumption. The true ending is earned through investigation, by finding every secret tape and documenting every aspect of Hameln's operation. Somewhere in the facility's depths, the Colton anomaly defeats Shepard. The protective rage wins. When the creature returns to Rebecca, it's barely functional, missing an arm, skeletal frame threatening to collapse, but it destroyed the predator designed to keep Amanda imprisoned and eliminate anyone who got too close to the truth. Rebecca watches this wounded thing shamble toward her and finally understands what it represents, her trauma given form. The parts of herself she couldn't control when Hameln surgically extracted them and gave them independent existence. Survivor instincts that became monstrous, because that's what happens when a corporation isolates someone's will to live and turns it into a weapon. She asks you for the 7th birthday tape, the final fragment of her consciousness still trapped in broadcast format, the last piece keeping Amanda alive in show space. The creature is as much a victim as she is. It deserves peace as much as she does. Destroying the tape will free them both from Hameln's machinery, and Rebecca makes that choice. She takes the final tape and uses it to mercilessly eliminate her other self. Amanda appears outside the tapes for the first time and fades away, no longer bound to broadcast reality. Rebecca has finally gained closure. She thanks you for freeing her, and you both leave the facility together.
This is for both of us. You didn't leave me.
Rebecca's soul is whole again, no longer fragmented between body and broadcast, between human and demon, between the child who wanted to make the world magical and the monster that child became when a corporation decided her consciousness was intellectual property. The true horror isn't that media can trap us, it's that we've built an entire economy around fragmenting people into consumable pieces, then calling it entertainment when we broadcast their suffering back to them. The game finishes on an outtake of the original live-action show to signify Sam's caring nature towards Rebecca and his teasing but friendly nature to the rest of the crew involved. The final video isn't another secret tape documenting corporate crime or demonic ritual. It's just Sam and young Rebecca sharing a loving moment on set, the two of them existing in the brief window before Hameln recognized what that relationship could be worth if properly exploited. The outtake reminds you what was lost when the company purchased Amanda the Adventurer's rights, what genuine children's programming looks like when made by people who care about protecting childhood innocence rather than weaponizing it. Amanda the Adventurer promised adventures, exploration, discovery, and the freedom to see the world as magical rather than threatening. That's what Sam wanted for Rebecca, what he tried to give her through their show. Permission to be brave, curious, and excited about learning. But Hameln Entertainment transformed that promise into its opposite. The show that celebrated exploration became a prison that eliminated choice. The title, Amanda the Adventurer, turned into a bitter irony. Rebecca spent over 20 years unable to move, unable to choose, unable to do anything except watch herself perform adventures she couldn't actually experience while her body rotted in a stasis pod. Amanda the Adventurer explores media corruption at its most fundamental level. Corporations don't need elaborate schemes when they understand that educational branding and interactive format will bypass parental scrutiny entirely. Hameln succeeded because they recognize the same mechanism that lets Elsa-Gate videos rack up millions of views. Anything colorful and engaging gets approved based on aesthetics rather than examination of what's actually being taught. The horror isn't just what happens to Rebecca. It's what happens to every child who watches episodes teaching them that adults are wrong, that boundaries are obstacles, that compliance with the screen matters more than safety in the real world. Impressionable minds don't just absorb content, they build frameworks for understanding how the world works, and desensitization doesn't announce itself until you realize a generation has been conditioned to see certain patterns as normal. The long-term impacts don't manifest as immediate danger but as shifted baselines for what children expect from authority figures, media, and their own instincts. Riley descends into Hameln's facility to confront demons trapped in tapes, but the trilogy leaves us wondering what we'd find if we went looking for the mechanisms behind the non-cursed content already teaching children what the world is supposed to look like.